Russillo Show on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
We got Will Cain with us for the next 3 days. NBA draft tomorrow. Coverage right here on ESPN Radio, 7 Eastern, also on TV side of things. So I can't wait. I know Will is really into it too, not just a mock draft guy.
Well, I mean, I'm going to squeeze a few more in before Thursday.
You will check multiple mock drafts even without any concern for where they may be getting the information?
I don't think you can come up with a site that I haven't read their mock draft of. I challenge you.
Freeze Pops, will you put together a mock draft, give it to Will Cain tomorrow, and see how he thinks?
You don't have to scan
I'll text it to him tonight.
You only have to scan it. I'll know in a second if you know what you're talking about.
You'll know in a second? Why?
If you got somebody slotted, that's absurd. That's not going to happen.
So a mock draft is bad if it predicts something no one else is predicting? That seems a little bit like that groupthink. Yeah. That doesn't seem like a Will Cain thing. Groupthink is not on Will Cain brand.
Yeah, you're right. I got to think about this if I'm off brand here.
I don't know who you are when you start talking about these mock drafts. So if Dennis Smith was going 15th out of NC State,
throw that mock draft out.
You'd be like, this mock draft's terrible.
And if he goes third, throw that one out too.
I have not seen or heard, I'm not even talking about the mock drafts here, but I have not heard anyone pick a different 5 guys for the first 5. In any order, it's all over the place. But it's Fultz, it's Ball, it's Jackson Tatum, De'Aaron Fox. That's not even the order I'm giving you.
Wow.
But I've never heard anybody say a different name to be in one of those 5s. Of all the teams I've talked, like that's...
I have.
You have?
I've read a lot of mock drafts.
Who's putting somebody else in that top 5?
Okay, the name that drops out of those top 5 every once in a while is Tatum. If he doesn't go to the Celtics, he drops down.
So Jonathan Isaac goes ahead of him? Is that the only time?
Yes, I've seen Isaac moving in the top 5. I'm trying to think, is anybody else?
That's fine. All right, I'll give you that one, because I've seen Jonathan Isaac at Florida State go 6, but even then, that's where it gets a little bit weird. So we'll do a lot more of that tomorrow. We're actually going to do our own lottery draft right here. I'm going to have the first pick. We ruled.
Well, the way we do this is everybody should be able to get to pick. Rudy he has to get Orlando's pick, and Freeze Pops has to get Boston's pick.
We already gave Freeze Pops Boston's pick, but then we didn't want to turn it into like 5 people, 14 picks. It's like, wait a minute, who does Rudy have? And the thing is, when you do those on the air, then you get done, and you're like, yay, we did it. We did a draft thing.
So what are we going to do, just you and me back and forth?
Probably, for the most part.
All right.
Seems a little mechanical and cliche, but guess what? We're doing it.
You guys.
We're gonna make sounders and everything. There are some stories you just have to hear to believe. Introducing 30 for 30 podcast, all new stories from the producers of the acclaimed 30 for 30 series. These original high-quality sports stories are like the acclaimed 30 for 30 documentaries that you love, created exclusively for audio. And beginning June 27th, you can hear a new story each week. Subscribe now to 30 for 30 podcast in the Listen tab of the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. You have a LeBron theory.
All right, here's the thing. I want you to tell me, am I stretching? Am I really trying to shoehorn a bunch of unrelated tangential thoughts into a overarching theory? Or is what I'm saying, yeah, Will, that's pretty obvious. But it's amazing to me how every move in the NBA, everything that's going on, is downstream from LeBron James. You can look at everything that has gone on in the last 3 days, every move that somebody's going to make in free agency, in trades, and possibly in the draft, and say, oh, yeah, that's connected to either acquiring or overcoming LeBron James. Hear me out. You're already smiling. Hold on.
Because I like you. That's why I'm smiling, Will. I'm having so much fun today.
Think about this. Okay, the Lakers trade D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov, and that's LeBron James related. Yes. Of course they want to get rid of Mozgov's contract. Of course. But why? To acquire LeBron James, potentially. DeAndre Jordan is on the blocks. Why? To acquire LeBron James, potentially. Jimmy Butler and Paul George. Every single trade rumor about those guys is connected to, will they play with or overcome LeBron James? He has drugged 7 straight teams to the finals. And there is simply a psychosis, perhaps a healthy one, you could argue, in the NBA of what are we doing in response to LeBron James?
Yes.
So it was obvious? It's not a stretch. It's obvious.
It seems a little more specific with each instance that you use as your example. Okay, I do think it's a little obvious. Because, couldn't you just say the same thing, like everyone is trying to improve because they're trying to beat Golden State? Well, in the same sense, what you've just laid out, everybody's trying to improve because they have to compete with LeBron, but you're using really specific things.
And I think even Golden State is downstream from LeBron. I think that
what do you mean
Golden
by that?
State loses to Cleveland, gives up a 3-1 lead, and Draymond Green texts Kevin Durant, reportedly, from the parking lot of the series final and says, come on, KD, come on over. We have to deal with LeBron James. It's just...
Can I just jump in right there?
Yeah.
That is a great story.
It's false.
And it sounds awesome. I'm not saying that part is false, but that part is so not where that Kevin Durant thing started.
I believe you.
The Durant thought of going to Golden State happened so much earlier. And he's also contradicted himself a million times in saying that once they lost, he told his agent, hey, we can do this, but can I really go there? And then when they lost, like, oh, I get to do it. Then there's other times he said he didn't even watch the NBA Finals. So I think there are a lot of great storytellers out there that have told us different versions of all this stuff, but I knew from the beginning that he was a real possibility, and I'm still not sure that it had anything to do with the outcome, but a lot of people said there's no way. If Golden State wins, if they beat Cleveland, then there's no way that Kevin Durant can go there. So tell me this.
Okay.
If Kevin Durant goes there after they win, what happens? Everybody gets mad at him all season? Because that's what happened anyway.
Right.
So, like if this was the better version of how Durant was going to be treated by the public for a year, I'd love to know what it was going to be like.
By the way. It is, right?
Right? All right, so I'm not telling you you're wrong or anything like that.
No, I think I risk being obvious, not wrong here.
Yeah. So does it feel more specific? Does it feel like it's something that's never happened before? I mean, the Celtics and the Lakers and going back and watching that 30 for 30 and being like, we lose in 85. So the Celtics are like, we got to add Bill Walton. I mean, isn't that kind of what you're doing? And you're in the arms race against the most fearful opponent? Yeah.
And I may be caught up in my own head, my own thoughts. And wow, that's really interesting, Will. And when it's just plain as day that's what's going on. But we have a regular season that
I love the way you said that about yourself.
We have a regular season everybody just complained about because the storyline was all too predictable. We have now a postseason that everybody is applauding because, wow, look at all this action. Look everything that's going on. When the truth is, it's the same story. It's a story about overcoming LeBron James. He is the story of the NBA. There is no other story. Maybe you could argue there's some satellite sun, like he's the sun in the center of the universe. Everything revolves around him. Maybe you could argue there's a satellite, like other source of light over here in the corner that's the Golden State Warriors who are reinventing basketball, and everybody has to adjust to them as well. But I think even they are, in a way, a response to LeBron James.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you any of that stuff's wrong. Will Cain, Russillo Show, reminding you if you're at work, you can stream all 3 hours of the show on ESPNradio.com. So as much as you're able to label a lot of the different things that have happened, but the success of this postseason, we should have seen this coming. This is the way we consume everything. We actually don't really care about what the content is. We just want to know if we're interested. Like if you sit there and it's 5 signs that she's over you, you might click. All right. Hey, how to get upgraded to first class. These 3 tricks always work. Start the slideshow. That spot she doesn't want to tell you about. Click. Everybody, we click and we don't even care. I mean, how many times have you clicked on that stuff? I don't know what happened to the kids from Different Strokes.
But I want to know.
I'll watch a slideshow. And guess what? How often am I disappointed? What's more than 100%? Okay? Is there a number over 100% disappointment that I obtain whenever I click on any of this crap that we all click on all the time?
And because you have to click so many times to get through the slideshow, can I just get one click and then see that Willis ended up in a really bad place?
When is the one
Arnold's
from Baywatch that I want to see? When am I going to see the lifeguard from Baywatch that I want to see today? Because so far I don't care about Hobie. Like I just, what happened to Yasmin? Click. Do you want Nikes? No, I Yasmin Bleeth updates.
That's exactly.
And so
it's 15 in. Why does it have to be 15 in?
So if you're telling me the NBA actually has like a realer version of this, are the Lakers going to trade garbage for Paul George? Click. We should have all seen this coming because the NBA is actually doing this real thing where it feels tangible, which is only a realer version of all the fake stuff we've already been clicking on for years anyway.
All right, quickly, let me ask you this. Do you think I said this to you in the pre-show meeting, do you think people love this off-season stuff, trades, free agency, drafts, because deep down, we'd rather be Theo Epstein than, say, Tom Brady?
Let's do that. Let's do that next segment. Let's just do that next segment. All right, so Brady or Theo, who would you rather be? I almost want to save that for tomorrow now. Save it for tomorrow? Smallman, your call. You're the producer of this ship.
I say let's save it for tomorrow. Deep tease.
Deep tease. Yeah. Those always work.
All right, 24-hour tease until we forget. Hey, what was that segment we wanted to do that we brought up after the Baywatch rant? Yasmin Bleeth.
I'm going to look up Yasmin Bleeth right now.
Yep.
Right now, I'm Googling
Checking her
Yasmin
out.
Bleeth. I
All
want to see
right.
what she looks
What's up? Probably listening.
Give
Check
us a
your
call.
DMs. Chauncey Billups' second meeting with the Cavs, why this is happening, and why there's some part of me understanding Dan Gilbert more today than I did yesterday. The Russillo Show with Will Cain. It's ESPN Radio. Hey, everyone. Ryan Russillo here. Support for the Ryan Russillo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Russillo, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030. We always have fun with Teddy Bruschi and those moments where there's not one NFL headline, but we love having him come by. We're going to talk with him. We got Will Cain, the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio, at Russillo Show, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Probably just ask him, do you think he'll ever want to be a coach or a GM? Because right now, the NBA is in this movement here where it was, you got to get the ex-players. No, now you got to get the analytic guys. And now it's like this thing where it's like, maybe we should just get former agents to be running these teams because they're better negotiators. And now we're grabbing the people from their world and making them our world. Bigger picture. A lot of people are worried about that on Wall Street because you go, why are we paying all these banks to do these mergers? Why don't we just hire our own people to do the numbers, and then we don't have to pay them these massive commissions? I bet you're all over that.
I'm all over it.
You are?
I'm
or you're not?
over here Googling Baywatch
stars,
trying to figure out my top 5 after you threw down Yasmin Bleeth. I'm looking at Erica Liniak. I'm looking at the girl from Charles in Charge.
So I've lost you for the rest. This is like when Daniel Day-Lewis retired and Adnan was here.
What?
Exactly. I lost him for today. But I'm going to throw the scenario at you. We did it in the second segment of the show today, okay? Where yesterday I spent a good chunk of the show going, I don't really get Dan Gilbert. He had a chance. Well, it's not even a chance. It's completed redemption in a way very few owners in sports have ever been able to. I don't know that he personally redeemed himself, but he's changed the Dan Gilbert story. Because if it weren't for LeBron coming back 3 years ago, Gilbert would be the championship-less owner that fired up like 7 years of just post-LeBron apocalyptic world for the Cavs. That's likely what was going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron comes back, everything works out, and I'm going, well, so why would you mess with him? Why would you get rid of Griff when LeBron wanted to keep him around? Why can't you make this thing work? Even though Gilbert, as I'm sure you realized, has this long record of just not valuing GMs all that much. But when I talked to more people last night, and I could understand why David Griffin would want to be paid a lot, but I could also understand Dan Gilbert going, why do I have to pay you $6-7 million a year when there's a really good chance next year we're going to win 50-plus games and probably be in the NBA Finals? I understand Gilbert's point, even if I disagree with him. I just understand his point today a little bit more. But now, according to Brian Windhorst, he's saying Chauncey Billups is coming in for a second visit. So this looks like Gilbert, the man who loves anything associated with the Pistons, is bringing in one of the great Pistons of all time, and Billups will run his team now.
Do you think he has deeper reasons than he just loved the Pistons?
I feel like you want to say something.
No, I think, as you're sitting here talking, I'm thinking about the way we think of these owners, and I'm torn. Do we, writers, analysts, talking heads, look at these guys who've made billions and hundreds of millions, and sometimes inherited that, to be fair, and act like we're so much smarter than them, and look at these bumbling idiots, and we could all do better? Or are we wrong in that way, or do we give rich guys entirely too much credit in their life?
There's 30 of them, right?
I'm torn, man.
I don't have a simple answer for you, but here's what I would tell you, is that some owners, like think about your friends. Think about your friends that you talk with, you have beers, and they ask you about sports, right? Hey, man, what's First Take like, right? You go back home to Texas, you do a boys trip, one of those deals. Yeah. Think of some of the stuff that you've been exposed to here, where it gives you further understanding of how some of the things work in sports.
Yeah.
And then you're at the ski lodge with your boys, and then just your dumbest friend of the group. Not a bad guy, but he just says the dumbest stuff ever.
Is he rich?
Well, imagine he has enough money to own a team.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that I don't want to call anybody, but like you have a friend that you just have an awful take friend, right? Don't you have one of those? I have like 5 of them.
Hold on. What percentage of let's just stick with the
Not
NBA
all
for
of
now.
them. No.
What percentage of owners are that guy? I want to ask Mark Cuban this, by the way.
Okay, but it's a thing I also call new owner syndrome. I wish I could teach some sort of course, a consulting thing where I could make a ton of money and be like, hey, you just bought an NBA team. All right, let's sit down. Here's what you're going to want to do, and here's what you shouldn't do. Here's all the things you're going to like. It's like getting a new house. You start buying all this deck furniture and stuff that you're like a single guy and you don't really need, and you're going to leave it outside and it's going to get ruined because I just did it 4 years ago. I'm like, I need patio furniture. I just bought a house. Of course I need to do this. I don't have any friends. I'm never outside, and now it's all ruined. Okay? And the NBA owner's like, I want to make a trade. Like, oh my God, that guy Luol Deng, he used to be awesome. He went to Duke. Bad contract? I don't care. I just spent $500 million on a team. I need to do something. I need to do something here.
Deals.
Right.
I got here by doing deals.
Let's go. I'm smarter than everybody else. Yeah, you were smart. Deals. You were smarter than a lot of people, and it made you $1 billion, but only one of you gets to win in this forum. Okay? And being smarter and working hard, none of that stuff really, really matters. So my point, I don't want to say, like, I'm not arrogant enough, despite accusations, to think that a lot of these owners are, obviously a lot of these guys are brilliant, but you can have a friend who's a really smart guy just not get sports a certain way, and I believe there are a handful or more of owners in leagues that just have the checkbook and go, lifelong dream, own a team, and now what dumb things can I do with it?
I want to know the percentage, and I know you can't give it to me, but like my curiosity is deep for what percentage of owners are buffoons, because you're absolutely right. I've met enough rich people in my life to understand, this wasn't all based on merit. However, this happened.
Congrats on rich friends, by the way. All right, so what do you ask?
But that doesn't discount that many are. And so when I see, for example, the Dan Gilbert hatred or the Phil Jackson, who is not an owner, but Phil Jackson hatred.
Right, all of a sudden he's just stupid.
Oh, he's dumb as all get out. Phil's incompetent, can't run a team. It just makes me wonder, guy managed, a dozen people to 11 championships. Did some pretty good things in life, pretty high accomplishments. But guy on his couch has decided Phil's a buffoon, idiot, incompetent. And maybe guy on the couch is right, by the way. I don't know. I look at the options. Is Phil incompetent? Is he sabotaging? Is he a genius? Is he really smart? I just don't know that we know the story to put one of those labels on it.
So when I brought this up at the beginning, then you're saying I could be off by saying Dan Gilbert is obsessed with the Detroit Pistons, and that's why he's bringing Chauncey.
No.
Like, me saying he's obsessed with the Pistons is not saying he's stupid. It's me saying he's obsessed with the Pistons.
No, I think the moral to your story and why I went into this tirade is this, that Dan Gilbert made a decision on Griffin for reasons that were legitimate, which you learned last night and you gave to your audience today.
Right.
It was that Griffin showed up and said, I want $7 million, $6 million, some big number, right? Whatever the number may be, he showed up and wanted a lot of money. And Dan Gilbert very rationally said, that doesn't make business sense for me. That is a rational decision for Dan Gilbert to make. It's not a bull in the china closet ruining an NBA franchise.
And that's kind of how I felt about it last night. If, whatever, what we heard last night. All right, so Teddy Bruschi, you think he'll ever be a GM?
Let's ask him.
What else can we ask him?
I got a question I want to ask Teddy, but I got to ask Teddy ahead of time if I can ask Teddy.
We should ask him about the 20 pull-up contest, too, because we're trying to get GNC involved.
Okay.
All right, so things are moving. Wheels in motion. Russillo Show, Will Cain, ESPN Radio.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check, in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.
We're waiting on Teddy Bruschi, giving you Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. You know how this thing gets a little weird on the TV side of things. So if he runs in, but we're not going to sit in silence until he gets here with Will Cain and the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio. We were just talking about owners, and you're right to suggest all 30 NBA owners aren't morons. All 32 NFL owners aren't morons. Like, we can play that game over and over again. We can disagree. I do think there's some guys that don't get it at all, don't get it how it's done, but they just happen to make a ton of cash, and they love the NBA or they love the NFL, and then next thing you know, like, I own a team. And sometimes you get close to it, you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe how this guy sees basketball or something. And then there's other times where we're out of our minds for assuming we know more than they do. So that's kind of the premise of what we're saying. Mm-hmm. But the Phil Jackson one, you are not going to find many people that even want to agree with your open-mindedness about what Phil is now running the Knicks.
I'm just, honestly, it's like that scene in The Big Lebowski where the dude's like drinking White Russians and adhering to a very strict drug regimen to keep his mind limber. I'm trying to keep my mind limber by not just accepting the echo chamber of Phil's either A, just all of a sudden a complete and utter moron, or B, sabotaging the New York Knicks in an attempt to get fired. I understand those are the two options most people have subscribed to at this point. The third is, hey, maybe Phil has a plan here. Maybe he's got some reason for the things he's doing. I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm just trying to be flexible. And this, let me offer you what I could come up with, Ryan, when I try to say, could Phil have a plan here? And the two are, number one, if Porzingis truly was on the block, and I have to accept that premise for this discussion, it's not insane to just say, what can I get? I mean, what if I just got whipped? What if somebody just threw pick after pick and player after player? I mean, everybody's got a value. Everybody's movable at some price. Maybe it feels like everybody seems pretty big on this Kristaps guy. What if Boston threw 2 1s, a player, and I don't know, make it 3 1s? What if Boston did that? I think that can explain some Phil behavior.
It also seems like there's a chance that they could have just been leaked by people that were trying to...
Don't mess up my game, man.
Oh, all right. So we're still going with the idea that Phil would actively look to move Porzingis?
Yeah. Or that Phil would put this out. If you accept the premise that Phil put this out, and that's a huge premise to accept, because Stephen A. Smith today on First Take said that this is actually coming from Porzingis' camp, that this is a boss move by Porzingis to actually try to get Phil out. If I can make Phil look like a fool who would trade me, maybe Dolan will finally get rid of him.
Ask Phil.
So, if you accept that it came from Phil's camp, one, let's just explore market value as one reason. The other is, two, send a message to Porzingis. Hey, you're not above us, man. You're skipping exit meetings. You're playing big time with me. Everybody can be moved. Send a message.
I think this one just got out, and there's no way Porzingis is traded. That's not a inside info thing. I think it just got out. Whether it was Porzingis and his side messing with Phil, like if they were doing it to make Phil look bad, if all of us were supposed to sit here and go, "Wow, Phil Jackson's an idiot," then it worked. But it didn't really change the bigger picture thing with Phil, and that is that Dolan is going to keep him there. Dolan's going to keep paying him, and some people were joking about it yesterday, and I kind of passingly said this thing where it's like if the goal was to get fired, then he's actually. Good job, because this is going to get you. This is the kind of thing that would get you fired. Like you can't be trading somebody like Porzingis because you at least know exactly what you have here, and you have him so young, and you have so much control, like 7 years financially to control this guy. Like just because it's bad now doesn't mean it's always going to be bad. But there's a lot of other stuff with Phil. Like I tried in the beginning the Porzingis pick. No one around the league thought he would take Porzingis. Nobody. They're
and
like, oh, Phil won't do that.
Everyone mocked him when he did.
I didn't.
Well, everyone but Ryan Russillo mocked him when he did.
No. Okay, so then he also said some stuff about Melo. And the Melo thing, like he's taking the L's now on all the Melo stuff, okay, which I understand. But he also said some stuff about Melo everybody else had said. There was a lot of people that would complain about Melo's style of play and what he meant to a team and what he couldn't bring. Then as soon as Phil said it, it wasn't Melo's fault anymore. It was how dare Phil. And it was kind of like an employee management thing. And no one, just like you said, no one likes to side with the owners. No one likes to defend the owners.
Management.
Well, nobody likes to decide, go like, hey, you know what I really like is the way management's running things. Okay? So the Melo detractors could then direct their angst towards the other guy who's kind of saying the same stuff about them. People love the Shumpert and J.R. Smith deal, but you know what? The bigger day-to-day, if you ask anybody that covers that team, if you ask people that really understand what's going on with the Knicks franchise, the day-to-day is a continuation of the mess that it's always been, and Phil has done nothing to change that. And that's a problem. And there's certain people that just around the league go, he's not into this job. He doesn't want to do that. And that's the information that I have, that no matter what you say about trying to have an open mind with Phil, I just don't know that I can ever accept it. I tried in the beginning, and I used some of the examples. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
and it's not the Porzingis rumor.
I think you're probably right, by the way. And if he can't change a culture, that's really not on Phil. He may not be into the job. His motivation may not be there. But if your problems predate somebody and post-date somebody, and the one constant that remains is your owner.
Ask Phil.
That's your problem, right? All I'm saying with Phil is Maybe all I'm saying is...
What are you saying?
Maybe I'm just being a devil's advocate.
Did you,
everybody decided this one thing. And maybe everybody's right. But my God, my radars go off when that happens.
I like that you're doing this.
Everybody says, am I trying to be contrarian for contrarian's
sake?
I don't think you are. Hot take. It's like, if you were to walk into a room of 50 people and everybody in that room has decided one thing is true, I'm going to tell you something. Decent shot, they're wrong. Don't fall them over the cliff.
I had experience with that, earlier this week when we were doing the Paul George thing. Every single person goes, you can't give up the number 2 pick for Paul George. And I said, I'm not saying you have to, but if you were an NBA team, and I said to you at some point, you can have Paul George, and you don't have to worry about his contract because he's going to re-sign with you, so you're going to get 6 years of Paul George. All we need is your number 2 pick. You would say yes to that trade. And now, with the draft tomorrow, with all these different things, and that was one of those moments where it was 50 people telling me I was wrong. I go, and then you always have the fallback when you do what we do. Like, hey, man, I'm just trying to put a segment together.
I'm just being flexible.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be open-minded here, man.
Trying to give you 8 different minutes on Phil. You know?
Because Teddy Bruschi didn't show up.
Phil.
He did call up. He actually walked into the studio, and that segment was so good that Teddy said, I don't want to interrupt this.
Where'd he go?
This is great. He bounced. He's out of here. Back to 617.
Pull-ups in.
So what would lead to me sending strangers, men, a new DM? We'll explain that with Will Cain. Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. Want to thank Will Cain today. We're going to be here tomorrow. Coverage of the NBA draft right here on ESPN Radio, 7 Eastern, and on TV. I'll be Mike and Mike tomorrow morning going over some draft stuff with that. So looking forward to the next 2 days and getting this thing going, man. I can't wait. I know you're pumped about it, too, and we'll have some fun with the show tomorrow. We didn't get to ask Bruschi who would rather be Tom Brady or Theo Epstein.
Right. Well, we know.
I think we do. No?
I think we do. Teddy.
Oh, Teddy would have said Brady, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We know what Teddy's answer would be.
You think it's going to be, what, a 50-50 split?
No, I think, the problem with
Should we save this
analogy.
Should we just save it?
Yeah, we'll save it. I won't say this. Brady at this point is too far out there. Like, we're not just talking about best in the game, we're talking about best of all time. So, I think Brady to Epstein is not a fair comparison. It's got to be somebody else and Epstein.
All right. See if we can't hone that in. Sharpen that one up for tomorrow.
I will.
Okay. The Russillo Show reminding you, if you miss any of today's show or any of the shows you just want to archive, you can subscribe. Please subscribe. Leave a review to our Best of Podcasts available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app or on Apple Podcasts. We started talking about body issues today, not body shaming.
No.
In general, stuff about bodies.
Celebrations, generally.
And then it led to something that happens to me all the time, and that's people think I'm fat.
Previously on the Ryen Russillo Show.
Like, you get me the wrong camera angle, I look like Eddie Lacy at a walkthrough. But I know I'm not fat. I'm pretty close to DMing strangers nudes. No, like the next guy that calls me fat, I may just drop him a nude in his DM and go, "What's up now?" I don't even think I get in trouble for that.
10 minutes from DMing a nude out as we speak.
I think that's on brand.
What's the closest you come to DMing?
DMing a guy a nude?
No. Have you gone topless DM?
No, God.
Have you gone just arm flex?
I take my shirts off all the time. So that's no, like, that's nothing. That's no secret there. On my Instagram, I don't have a shirt on.
We've got so many conversations I want to keep going at the air. I
would like the next guy that trolls me is like, whatever, fatso. What if he just opened up and had a DM of a nude of me? Looking, not a six-pack, but solid obliques. Does he come back and go, hey, I'm wrong?
No.
Well, good tweet. Good tweet. Not bad tweet. Good tweet.
There's so many things that even on re-listening to it that I love. First of all, I didn't give at the moment, and we've said this several times today, I didn't realize in the moment certain things that were said. Like when I asked you, have you ever DM'd a topless shot somebody? Your response to me was no, like that's absurd. But no, it was absurd because I don't DM those. I put them out on my Instagram for the mass audience.
Yeah.
I'm topless for the masses, man. Not one. It's like in that scene in.
There's a fishing picture on my Instagram.
Fishing?
Yeah, I'm out there fishing. Bass murderer. Pretty hash. Pretty good hashtag.
Did you ever see Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
The governor's like going into the radio station and, Pappy, why don't you say hi to so-and-so? Son, we ain't one at a time in here. We're mass communicating. You ain't one at a time in topless outs. You're mass blasting them.
That is a good line. That movie didn't do it for me the way the other Coen Brother movies do it for me.
That's good.
Did I not get it?
You don't get it.
You don't. Oh, you didn't like Oh Brother, We're Out There? You don't get it.
The other thing that revealed itself a little more on the second hearing is you get called fatso a lot. How does that come in? I mean, let me guess. This is the guy that's like, you think you lift, man?
Yeah.
You don't lift.
Yeah. Because I
You're
posted
fat.
some pictures with Sarah Walsh's babies, and I would just be in a tank top, and they'd be like, no cardio, never. You're like, I'll admit, I'm not going to run a 5K today. But I just, you know what I think is great about just the fitness world in general is that I think it's pretty great that everybody's putting their stuff out there because I think it motivates people. Like, I don't think anybody should ever give anybody a hard time. I mean, there's a few younger guys that don't put anything back that I'm ready to kill at my gym. But for the most part, you're in there, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Let's all get along. You know, I'm getting a little bit older. I don't want to be angry all the time, you know?
What do you mean, angry at the gym?
No, I'm talking about day to day in everybody's lives, right? But the fitness thing, as much as it's out there, like it's never been out there before. I mean, when you scroll through Instagram, it's just a deadlift festival, okay? And
you follow different people than me.
well, I guess I'm watching the wrong vids. Like, this dude's form is awesome.
Deadlift festival.
Okay. But there's this other part of it where it's like everybody thinks they have the secret. And I don't think that that's specific to fitness at all. It just seems to be a little bit more consistent. Oh, you're doing that wrong. Oh, you haven't tried this yet. Oh, you got to do this. I mean, that's just life.
Let me tell you what's working for me.
What?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's how the conversation goes. It just happened in the control room a minute ago. We talked about this, but I love this. This is another deep tease. I love what you're doing here. It's just more out front in the fitness world. Like, everybody's expertise, everybody's know-it-allness, everybody's own secret sauce to this. It's just a little more open in the fitness world, but secretly, same thing on finance, same thing on sports.
Relationships,
right?
The neighborhood. But you couldn't go on Instagram and comment under somebody's, like, say it was husband, wife, daughter, and then a picnic. Would you ever comment to your friend, picnic sucks and you're holding your kid wrong? Okay. Fitness, though. Oh, you don't go all the way down?
You're right.
Oh, bro. Oh, you do your reverse grips way bad. You need to stretch those out more. And you just go, I think what you just said is perfect. The openness with which people in the fitness world are willing to criticize you at. Like, just, oh my God, you're terrible. You would never do that. And
expose their own ignorance. Like, sports is a pretty good rival for that.
You think? Again, the Russillo Show today, it's Will Cain. We are 27 hours away, and more importantly, 27 and a half hours away, knowing who the Celtics are going to take.
I'm following you on Instagram right now.
Are you? Have you seen any of it yet?
No, I'm going right now. I'm serious.
I tell you what hasn't happened to me on Instagram is a rich guy hasn't asked me to go to Cabo yet, DMing. So I know the whole male-female debates that we've had the last few years, a lot of this stuff is not fair, and I'm the beneficiary of a lot of it, just being a male. I get that. But in my life, I will never have a woman DM me and go, do you want to get on my private jet and run to Cabo?
Let's see if we can remedy that.
I don't think that's going to happen. That's one in the female category where you go, advantage female.
Well, first of all, somebody needs to correct that for you. That you can't go through life with the certainty that will never happen.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to. Or I'm pretty sure whoever would invite me, I wouldn't go with. I think
Will you
that's
make
a great
me this
thing.
promise? If somebody DMs you or Instagrams you, go to Cabo with me, hop on my jet, please.
It's likely to be more...
It's a female. Please say yes. Will you just please say yes?
It would be more likely to happen from like 3 guys from Chicago.
No. I'm talking about the female invitation.
No, because it's just... Trust me on this one. That doesn't happen.
No, I'm just saying if it does.
All right, you know what? If
will
it does,
you say yes,
If
please?
it does, I promise I'll go to Cabo today. But the draft's tomorrow, so we can't do it this week. Will Cain and I Awesome draft coverage all day tomorrow. The latest and all the rumors. Bomani Jones is next.